Hi everyone. A few weeks ago I recommended this book by Andy Seed, The Silly Book of Side-Splitting Stuff, and I'm wondering if any of you have checked it out. I'm currently using the online library and you can get this book as a PDF. I'm going to share a couple of pages that I found quite funny. The first page, page 12, nonsensical names. Some animals' names are silly because they're confusing. Have a look at these and you'll see what I mean. Starfish. It's not a fish. Horny toad. It's a lizard, not a toad. Electric eel. It's not an eel, but a knife fish. Mountain goat. Although it does live on mountains, it's not a goat. Guinea pig. They're not from Guinea, and they're not pigs. Flying lemur. It's not a lemur, and it can't fly. Okay, it can glide a little bit. Black rhino. It's not black. White rhino. It's not white. You can see how confusing the English language can be. On to my next page, page 34. Peculiar jobs. Silly work was once a lot easier to find. Just look at this lot. Knock her up. Before alarm clocks, some people would hire a man or woman to wake them up by banging on their window or door in the morning. A stick was usually used, but some knockers up used a pea shooter. Gong farmer. This unfortunate person would work in the night emptying human excrement from the pits that people used before toilets were invented. In Tudor times, some were paid 6 pence a day for being up to their knees in stinky poo. Rat catcher. In Victorian days, one occupation involved catching live rats, which were then often sold for illegal dog versus rat fights. The rats were caught by hand and often carried horrible diseases. Whipping boy. 500 years ago, each time a prince in England was naughty and deserved punishment, another boy, called the whipping boy, would get whacked instead. This was because the future king was not allowed to be punished. Seems a tad unfair. Body snatcher. In the past, people learning to be doctors urgently needed their bodies to practice on, so they paid illegal body snatchers to dig up freshly buried corpses from graveyards at night. Very strange. Page 40. The Great Stink. This might remind you of your Victorian topic. 1858 was not a good year to be in London. Why? Read on and you'll find out about a silly situation that became a smelly and dangerous one. Victorian London was a very busy city with hundreds of thousands of people all living and working close together. Where there's lots of people, there's lots of poo. And in 1858, this was a big problem. The flushing toilet had just become popular, and the easiest place for people to flush away their stinky waste was into the River Thames. As well as sewage, the river was also where people dumped dead animals, horse manure, and nasty chemicals from factories. Things became really bad in the year 1858 when there was a heat wave. The hot sun dried up the Thames and the river could no longer wash away all the poo. Ponking piles were left on the riverbanks, slowly cooking in the summer warmth, and the overpowering stench enveloped the whole city. It was called the Great Stink. London smelt like a giant toilet, and members of Parliament meeting in the newly built House of Commons next to the river found that the pong was so strong that they couldn't work. In between wafts, they arranged for new sewers to be built. Eventually, rains came and washed away the mounds of metropolitan muck, but no one would ever forget what was possibly the worst whiff in history. Now, if you enjoyed those pages, you can see here, if you go on the online library, you can access loads of books, including this one, with all of the pages ready for you to read. Hope you enjoy.